Welcome to God's Word for you today. Shall we pray? Dear Lord, we are grateful, Lord, for this day that you've given us. We thank you for life, health, and strength, and all that you do for us. How grateful we are tonight to be able to be here, to open your word, and to sit at your feet. Lord, we ask for your blessing and the blessing of your Holy Spirit. Grant us today the understanding of your word. Lord, help us to apply those things that we learn from your word. This we ask in Jesus' wonderful name. Amen. Amen. Welcome you all again to God's word for you today. Our lessons have been lessons from Divineencounters. We have been studying the Apostle Philip. It's very interesting. Somebody noted that even though not much was written about the Apostle Philip, now it's taking us about 7 studies, which is about maybe now close to 7 weeks, to just glean from this wonderful apostle's life. Now, it's not how long you live, they say. It is how well you live. And so these men may not have, long narrative, unlike the other disciples, but wherever we find them featured, they leave us very practical example of what it is to be a disciple. We're able to learn from their mistakes and able to share in their triumph and walk in the steps of faith. When we began the study of Philip, we noted that we're going to be studying 5 things. It later on turned to be about 5. And so we have come to what I believe the end of our study on Philip. Today we're going to try to round it up today. So we have studied Philip's call. It was Jesus that found Philip. That's the way it was put to us. Jesus wanted to go to Galilee, and there he found Philip. I just can't get over that, because that is what he did with every one of us. He found us. Now, you don't find something that's not lost. If something is right in front of you, it need not be found. You find something that is displaced, something that is not where it's supposed to be. And that's all of our story. It's the story of grace that Jesus wanted to go to Galilee, where he will find Philip. And so we study Philip's call, and then we see Philip again at the feeding of 5,000. Now, the feeding of 5,000 is an exciting, very notable miracle, and mostly when people read this chapter, you're immediately drawn to the wonderful provision that Jesus made for those men, and just to confirm and reaffirm again that he is the one who provides. And he said to the Jews, just like God provided for your fathers in the wilderness, the Son of Man himself is the bread of life. God fed them with manna from heaven. And so Jesus displayed his authority, he displayed his compassion, he showed that he is the one who himself is providence. And so, but that was not our emphasis when we looked at the feeding of 5,000. By the way, these miracles was one of the most notable miracle of all the Bible, because all of the gospel writers, wrote about this miracle. Unlike something else happened within this miracle, and that was the test of Philip, who is our subject. Unfortunately, the other writers did not mention it, but only John mentioned it for us. So it's very important for us to have been able to extract that from this miracle of provision. That was not our subject, but our subject happened to be inside this place. Just like sometimes God will hide his miracle, Philip's test was hidden in this whole miracle of provision. And it was good for us to have studied that test. Philip failed his test here, and we study why he failed his test. And this is going to be the same reason why you and I fail our test. We see mostly that Philip failed the test because Philip failed to live by faith, to understand, to apply his faith, and to apply knowledge, in the sense that after we're walking with Jesus for some time, there's certain things that he teaches us. There's certain things we experience, and those things we must not forget. And even though Philip had walked with the Lord for some time, and he's seen all his miracles, he failed to appropriate that knowledge at the moment, at that crucial moment of his examination. Now, how about you? Do you forget your testimonies? Do you forget the great things the Lord had done? Now, if you forget, that's going to be your fault when you get discouraged. The purpose of our testimony, on this past Sunday, we talked about the weapon, one of the weapons of warfare. And that was what we talked about this last Sunday. We talked about the declarative weapon, the weapon of faith, the weapon of declaring the word of the Lord. And we see in the battle of David and Goliath how he was able to overcome and win, first of all, the battle of words, how he was able to declare every negative, every negative word, every word that was said to him that was disparaging. He declared what he believed. And then just before he faced Goliath, he recalled his testimony. That is the purpose of testimonies. Testimonies are weapons. Your testimony, you fight with your testimony. You fight with what God has done. You encourage yourself. When things come over you, you just got to just say out loud and tell the devil, look, after all God has done for me, I'm going to believe him now. I'm going to trust him. I'm just going to wait and see how he will work this out. Now you're fighting, and that's your weapon. It's a very powerful weapon, because your testimony is your own. It's something you own. Your testimony is an experience with God, and that is what God wants every day. God wants you to experience him every day. Not just to, imagine things in your head about God, about church. You're walking with God and you're experiencing him. This is how we know God, not just know about God. You see, you'll know about God until you have an experience with God. You know about God, about what he can do, and when it's your turn that you receive a miracle from him, from then on, you should know him. You should be able to say, he did it for me, and you fight with your testimony. So back to Philip. Philip failed to apply those things that he knew. Now, he's seen Jesus did many, many, many miracles, and therefore he could have believed. Even when Jesus asked him that question, where can we buy bread to feed these? Well, I mean, it would have been very, very simple to just say, Lord, I don't know. You know what to do. And that will have shown a little faith. But now, again, so we study Philip's call. We see Philip at this feeding of 5,000 where his faith was tried. Now, then we go on and we study Philip, the soul winner. We challenge ourselves that, it was not too long after Philip had come to Jesus that he brought his friend Nathanael. Even though Nathanael said to him, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Nathanael was at first very skeptic. He was not, he didn't have any objection as to Messiah coming. He was also waiting for the Messiah. But he had a problem that the Holy One will come from such an unholy place. But again, that's Jesus. Jesus, he comes from what you call then the ghetto of that area, because he came to save sinners. He identified with us. It doesn't matter what your story is. Jesus been there. And so, Nathanael was skeptical. But Philip insisted and said, you just come and see. Come and see what I have seen. And what a convincing word to Nathanael. And that's how Nathanael himself became a disciple. He came and see. He went and the thing is, he saw Jesus for himself. My friends, that's all we have to do. Come and see. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to just invite others. Even now, that you can share this. You can send it to someone. You can invite them to join the Bible study, like just something simple that you can do that can actually save somebody and bring them to Jesus. You and I are waiting for the Lord to return, but what do we have in our hands to give to the Lord? Who, when we get to heaven, who will be able to look and find and say, I brought this man to the Lord? We're going to his heaven, right? Let's prepare. Let's do something for our master. Simple things as to just tell somebody, where they can find bread. You have found bread. You have found life. You have found joy. You have found strength. You have found peace of mind. You can tell somebody else how to. Philip leaves us with an example of how to be a soul winner. Sometimes it's difficult, but we must insist. We must persist. And just like Philip persisted with his friend Nathanael, and just simply say, look, come and see for yourself. Come and see. And isn't wonderful? Look, you don't defend a lion. A lion can defend himself. So is the Lion of Judah. We just need to introduce him. We just need to just bring them to him, And this is why we preach, because we know that when we preach, the Lord will defend himself. The Lord will show himself strong on behalf of anyone who's loyal to him. Just tell somebody, come and see. Take an opportunity in people's life when they're going through to just come near them and just ask them, can I pray with you? Pray with them with faith. And you will be surprised that the Lord will honor that prayer. And then they will be surprised. And then they will want to know the Lord more because you took, that opportunity. Remember that story, that very popular story that we talk about, the woman with the issue of blood. Read her story. Her story changed when it says, and when she heard about Jesus. When she heard about Jesus. That is when her story changed, when she heard. about Jesus, meaning somebody took time to tell her about Jesus. And whosoever that may be never knew what good they were doing that woman. They never knew that they were going to put an end to her 12-year-long suffering. Oh my goodness. What if you are that neighbor? What if you're that person who put an end to somebody's misery? You know, there are a lot of people around us who really need the Lord, especially now in this time that we're living. Many people are going through, sorrow. They're grieving. They've lost loved ones. Somebody has lost their breadwinner. Somebody's fatherless now. Somebody's motherless. Somebody's a widow now. And there are people around us who have much pain. And my God, God is looking down in heaven. His heart is broken and want to reach out to these people. And he's got you, he's got me. You are the closest person to that man, to that woman in need. Look, what you have, why don't you share it? Come and see. Tell them about Jesus. Tell them how you got over. Tell them what the Lord has done for you. So Philip leaves us an example of a soul winner. It was not long that he came to Jesus that he found his friend. Look, how many years have you been in the Lord? How many years have you have been claiming that you know Jesus? How many souls have you brought for him? How many souls have you snatched from hell? How many people have you rescued from perishing? What a great example. Not only that, he just simply say, come and see. Nathanael did not, Philip did not know much then. He was just a new disciple, but that did not stop him from bringing someone else. Like, you don't have to know everything. You just need to know just what the Lord has done for you. It just happened that Philip and Nathanael seemed to know a little bit of Scripture because, when Philip saw Nathanael, he said to him, look, we have found the one whom Moses in the law and the prophets wrote about. So they knew what Moses and the prophets wrote about. And obviously, Nathanael also know what Moses and the prophets have written about. They knew something. They were not completely ignorant, but don't wait for somebody to give you a certificate in anything before you share your testimony. And so now we also study Philip and the Greeks that they came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida of Galilee. That statement in itself is suggestive that the Greeks, realized probably his name, and the man spoke Greek, so they went to him. We did not know whether they spoke Greek to him or they just know he could speak Greek. And that's just how it is. We are, Philip and Andrew, went to tell Jesus about these foreign delegates. And, they didn't have any problem with foreigners. They didn't have a problem with these so-called Gentiles. Philip and Andrew believe that Jesus is for all nations, Christ for all nations, and they were able to bring them to Jesus. My friend, people need the Lord, and we don't know why they didn't go to Matthew or the other people, but it doesn't really matter as long as they get to Jesus. We don't all have to be the same, know the same thing, but the more we are different in who we are, the more opportunities we have to serve the Lord. They couldn't go to Matthew, but they can come to Philip and Andrew. So don't try to be like somebody else. Just be who the Lord had called you and made you to be. And what a wonderful study we have had with the Apostle Philip. And then we see Philip, we studied last week, Philip asked a request of the Lord. Philip, in John chapter 14, verse 8 through 9, Philip said to Jesus, Lord, show us the Father, and it is sufficient for us. And Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? So this is the last thing supposedly that we will look at, and then we'll just mention briefly Philip's ministry and death from church history. So we have looked at Philip's call, Philip's test at the feeding of 5,000, Philip the soul winner, Philip and the Greeks, and last week we started Philip asked the Lord for a request. But what needs to be pointed out in this request is that there was a series of events that led to Philip's request. Philip's request was part of a larger conversation. We find that before Jesus replied to Philip, there were two other questions that were asked by Simon Peter and Thomas. These questions resulted in great revelations as Jesus replied with several important truths. So we are now considering Philip's request. So in John chapter 12, 20 and 23, we'll start again from there. Now, today we want to continue to study Philip's request. Again, it's important for you to know that what Philip asked when he said to the Lord, Lord, show us the Father, and this is sufficient for us. This was part of a larger conversation, and the Lord began to speak to them. There was something going on that, incited these questions by these disciples. And the questions that were asked were all somehow related to each other. Philip was the one who asked the last question. So it makes sense for us then to just try to find out why they asked the questions in the first place, and to find out each questions and what is the meaning of each question, what is the question, and then eventually we'll get to Philip. This is real Bible study. So Jesus began, again, if you are familiar with the Gospel of John, you remember in John chapter 11, Lazarus was dead, Jesus raised Lazarus. Immediately after that, we have John chapter 12. It was right here in John chapter 12 that we see the Greeks came to Philip, and they asked him if they could see Jesus. But in John chapter 12, something was going on. So when there were certain Greeks among those who came up to worship at the feast. Then they came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida of Galilee, and asked him, saying, Sir, we wish to see Jesus. Philip came and told Andrew, and in turn, Andrew and Philip told Jesus. But Jesus answered them, saying, the hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Most assuredly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much grain. Now, that's an agricultural term, and that's a principle of life. But it's so important principle that you and I need to understand that perfectly if we're going to really make any meaning of our walk with God. Let's get it. I know we've read it many times, and you can quote it offhand. But what does it mean? Not only what does it mean in the text, what does it mean in your own life, for my life? Are you walking with this principle? Have you surrendered to this principle? Do you see this principle really walk in your life? Now, this is non-exempt. You cannot be exempted from these. It's a principle of spiritual life, even though it's also a principle for in agriculture. But here is what Jesus is saying. Jesus began to prepare the disciple by talking about his own death. And now the Gentiles have come. Now, that's a very significant moment in the whole life and ministry of Jesus. In just few days now, you can count it, Jesus will be on the cross. He will finish his ministry here on earth. He had come to his own has rejected him. He had done his work, just few more things to do. Maybe now he's walking his last mile and doing, putting things together. He had begun now to talk about his death. And now that he has walked among his people, the Gentiles are coming now. And here Jesus took the opportunity to say this. Listen again. Most assuredly, I want this word, to be heard by you. This is the word of the Lord. And I pray that the Spirit will open your ears and you will hear the voice of the Lord speaking to you. Not just my voice. Well, the voice of man is the voice of God. I want you to hear what the Lord is saying. Most assuredly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much grain. See, Jesus is using this as an illustration of his own life, that he must die. Unless he dies, there is no glorification, there is no multiplication, there is no redemption, there is no saving us. So, and this is there is the principle of surrender. In everything, another law of life, another principle of success is surrender. It doesn't matter in what field, whether in spiritual life, whether in business life, whether in academic life, there is this law that demands for us to surrender. Whether in our marital relationship, there is this law of surrender. There is, in our relationship, there is this law. When you're a college student and you start your college, college life, is fascinating and it's exciting, it's a change of environment, and you feel like you're free now. But in the first few weeks, you will soon realize that unless you surrender yourself to why you're there, there's not going to be success. If you waste your time just going around, partying around, you know what's just going to happen. Everything you need to do in life and become successful, you got to surrender to it. If you're going to be a medical doctor, you've got to surrender to the rigor and study of medicine. If you're going to be an engineer, so is the case. You got to surrender yourself. Even if you're going to be a craftsman, whatever it is, trade that you need to learn, you've got to surrender yourself to that trade. If you're going for surgery now, you've got to surrender yourself to the doctor. We don't want to think or accept it, but there's no other way. That's just how it is. You surrender yourself. Even as simple as going to sleep at night, you've got to surrender yourself. You cannot be fighting, the sleep. You've got to surrender. It is just the way it is. So my friend, Jesus said, even in our relationship with God, before God can use you, before God can do anything in your life, you've got to surrender. It means you got to die to yourself. You got to die to yourself. While in college, you got to die to your desire to go out and party, and you got to die to all of that and surrender to, focus and study. I do believe by now you understand to an extent exactly what I'm saying. But here is the point. with this surrender, without surrender, everything remains alone. There is no change. There is no progress. There is no success because you remain alone. That grain of wheat remains a grain of wheat. That sophomore remains a sophomore. That man, that woman in need of surgery remains sick. But once you surrender and you die to yourself and your ego and your pride, then it says it produces much grain. If much grain is what you want, if multiplication is what you want, then there has to be surrender. If you want God to use you, then you've got to surrender. If you want to get well, then you've got to surrender to the surgeon. You get not only to the surgery, but when you wake up, you got to surrender to the prescription and whatever it is that they prescribe, whether medications, therapy. You've got the problem we have today is that most people can't follow instructions. They don't want somebody else to tell them what to do. Now the only time you don't need anybody to tell you what to do is if you know it all. And if you don't know it all, then somebody have to tell you the other things you don't know. There are people out there who think they know it all. They'll tell you, this and that. But if it's possible that you don't know it all, well, there are other things that other people know that they can tell you. So my friends, Jesus now take this opportunity to talk about his own death. It said, this is how it is. Then he said, he who loves his life will lose it. He who hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Of course, you know what it means. It doesn't mean that you hate your life. It means that, you are not living according to the dictates of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. That's what it means. If anyone serves me, Jesus continued, let him follow me. And where I am, there my servant will be also. If anyone serves me, my Father will honor him. Now my soul is troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this purpose I came to this hour. Now, let me put a pin here and remind you. Now, Jesus is talking now. The Greeks came, they were there. The disciples were there. And this is a different kind of teaching. They've heard Jesus teaching for so long, but this is different. Jesus is saying something here that, it's not, what they have heard before. Or, let me put it this way, it's not something they wish to hear because of the way it sounds or what it means. Now my soul is troubled. They have never heard him say that. What could trouble the master? What in the world could ever trouble him who himself is peace, who calm troubled waters? My soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. What hour? I want you to picture, listening, being there with these disciples and hearing these. But for this purpose, I came to the world. Then he says, Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. Therefore the people who stood by and heard it said that it had thundered. Others said, an angel has spoken to him. Jesus answered and said, this voice did not come because of me, but for your sake. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out. And if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all peoples to myself. Now, I'm telling you, this is a kind of discourse. This is a kind of teaching. They've never heard this kind of things in this manner before. Now, I want you to know, for those of us who are on this side of the cross, when Jesus said, and if I am lifted up from the earth, that phrase is euphemism for the word crucified. That is what they use. You know, the word crucified, people don't usually say it because of the nature and the gruesomeness of the whole thing. So they find other words to use. And the phrase is to be lifted up. And so Jesus said, and if I am crucified, I will draw all men to myself. Who wants to hear that? You know, the disciples are wondering, what is he talking about today? And John let us know in verse 33 of that John 12, say, this he said, signifying by what death he will die. He's not just saying he was going to die. He was saying that he was going to be crucified. I mean, they knew what that meant. Only criminals and felons were crucified. And so what is he talking about today? And so if you were there, just like those disciples, they had a reaction. Oh, they had a reaction. And we're going to Philip's request. But this is where it started, because between now and before Philip that we're studying spoke, these were the things that were going on. Jesus was saying these things. Then Jesus cried out and said, he who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. I want you to, underline that and keep that in your mind, because we're going to come to that. He who believes in me believes not in me, but he who sent me. I have come as a light into the world, that whoever believes in me should not abide in darkness. And if anyone hears my words and does not believe, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but the word that I have spoken will judge him in the last day. For I have not spoken of my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command. I want you to underline that too. But the Father who sent me gave me a command that what I should say and what I should speak. And I know his command is everlasting life. Therefore, whatever I speak, just as the Father has told me, so I speak. So there is a recurring phrase here, the Father, the Father, the Father. So again, let me bring you back. John 11, Lazarus died, Jesus raised him up. John 12, the Greeks came. Jesus, they wanted to see Jesus. The Greeks look for wisdom. The Jews look for a sign. But these Greeks were people who were already probably proselyte, because they came to worship. They didn't come as tourists. And they had questions and they wanted answer from Jesus. So in John 12, Jesus spoke these parable. He painted a picture of how he was going to die. He emphasized that the Father sent him on a mission, that what he's saying, he says because the Father tells him what to say. That's John 12. Now, John 13. Notice something in John 13. It says right there from the beginning, now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. So you see now, he's been talking about his death, how he's going to die. That is, he has a command from the Father, 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 Father. He's, emphasizing that word and also emphasizing his death. So the next chapter starts with now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew his hour had come. Its hour had come now. So we are talking now, Jesus is nearing his death. Jesus walking his last mile, doing his last things. But look at what he says when he knew his hour had come. When Jesus knew his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. I don't know about you, but that's Jesus for you. He loved them to the end. So when he had gone out, Jesus said, and I'm reading now John 13, verse 31. So when he had gone out, Jesus said, now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and glorified him immediately. Now listen, in verse 33. Now Jesus said, little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I am going, you cannot come. So now I say to you, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By these all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. And then verse 36 comes the first question. We are trying to study Philip's request. But before Philip's request were two questions. And these questions are connected eventually to Philip's request. So if we just look at Philip's request, we wouldn't know why he made that request. So it's important for us to see what actually happened. So we have tried to paint the picture that Jesus had now been talking about his death, about going to the Father, and he's been preparing them. And now we're in John 13, and we see here that he said these words. John 13, verse 33. He called their attention. Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews. Now, I want you to know, in that verse, want you to be able to see, to understand what he said to the disciples and what he said to the Jews. There is a quote within the statement. What happened is that when people read these, they will misunderstand eventually what the whole verse is. Now, this is what he said to the disciples. Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. As you will see, comma, you will seek me. You will seek me. But then he said, and as I said to the Jews, from then on, he quoted what he said to the Jews. Because I am going to point out to you that, what he said to the Jews is not what he said to his disciples. And if you don't understand this distinction that we have made, you will think this is exactly what he said. Let's read it again and see why it's possible for people to misunderstand this. Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I'm going, you cannot come. So now I say to you, and then he goes on the new commandment. If you didn't make this distinction we just made, now you will think he was saying to the disciple, where I'm going, you cannot come. No, that's not what he said to the disciple. He said that to the Jews, and we will see a proof of that as we go on. So when he had finished saying that, Simon Peter said to him, Lord, where are you going? I mean, for the last, maybe hour or so, or in our own case, chapters, you've been talking about going. I mean, where are you going exactly? And Jesus answered him, where I'm going, you cannot follow me now. You see the distinction? What he said to the Jews is that where I'm going, you cannot come. But what he said to his disciples is, where I am going, you cannot follow me now. So he's not saying the disciples cannot come. He's just saying, you cannot follow me now. But you shall follow me afterward. That's what he said. Peter said to him, Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for your sake. Okay? So now, that's John 13. So this is what's going on, and whatever Jesus has spoken now in John 13, especially when he said, little children, I shall be with you just a little while longer, you will seek me. These incited Peter's question. My friend, Peter is a representative disciple. Not only did he represent the rest of the band over there, he represents us. Because, for some reason, it's just very hard for us to understand spiritual matters. Definitely, Jesus is speaking spiritually, and, it was very hard for them to understand. So now, let's go now. We noted John 11, what happened. John 12, we noted, what happened. John 13, now we noted what happened. Let's go to John 14. Remember how John 14 began, let not your heart be troubled. Why will he say that? Because they were troubled, especially because of these things that he just put it out all at once on them. Now he has been intimating before now that he was going to die, he was going to be arrested, once in a while he said, but now he got their attention and he just laying it out there and laying it on them, and they were very uncomfortable, unsure, and very afraid. And so, this is why the question comes. So this first question by Peter was, okay, Lord, where are you going? And why can I not follow you now? So we go to John 14, and you and I know how that began. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me in my Father's house, But that word was spoken to people who were troubled. And he was saying, to them, it was just like, for lack of words, I will say damage control. Why? Because he saw them that they were not taking it very well, what he was speaking to them. They were not taking it very well. They are now in despair. And so Jesus had to comfort them. That's how we started John chapter 14, verse 1. But let's go on. Remember that we're studying lessons from Divine Encounters. For the past 7 weeks, our subject has been the Apostle Philip. Even though not much was written about him, the few places he was highlighted in the scripture have become a subject of interest to us. We have studied Philip's call, Philip at the feeding of 5,000, and Philip's test. We've studied Philip, the soul winner, Philip, and the Greeks. Now, we are studying Philip's request. We made mention as we began our study tonight that request of Philip was actually taught in a series of discussion with Jesus. The request was part of a larger conversation, and for us to really understand why he made that request, we must go back and see what happened in the previous chapter. So this is the first of those things that happened before Philip's request. Simon Peter, having listened to the Lord talking about he's going, he said, Lord, where exactly are you going? Jesus replied him. So now in John chapter 14, from verse 5 through 11, now we have another question. Somebody else who's been paying attention and just as confused as Peter was, confused, afraid, in despair, Thomas also said to the Lord, Lord, we do not know where you're going, and how can we know the way? Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also, and from now on you know him and have seen him. Now, in verse 8 of chapter 14, now we have Philip, and Philip also now, he didn't ask questions. The first two have asked questions. Philip was saying, Lord, let's just summarize it. Let's go straight to the point here. A shortcut. Don't we love shortcuts? Don't we love just for God to give us formulas? We love things that just is predictable. We don't want to, and that is why people are not growing spiritually, because they wish to have something instant. Instant syrup, instant spiritual growth kit. Maybe a powder you can shake in your water every morning and drink, and then you grow spiritual muscles. That would be easy for all of us. We want shortcuts. We want shortcuts to prayer. We don't want to spend the time in prayer. We just fax our prayers every morning. Lord, thank you for waking me up. I'll see you in the evening. And then when evening comes, after the day's hustle and bustle, as you kneel down there and want to pray, as soon as you kneel, before you hit the floor, you're already falling asleep. And then you're talking in your sleep, and somebody think you're praying somewhere. You're just babbling, and that's some of our prayer lives. Nothing good, nothing meaningful come, when we don't give it time. I don't know about you, but I don't bake cake. My wife, my daughters, every one of them bake these things. And I know it takes time. There is nothing you can do with a cake that is half-baked. It's either you put it back or you throw it away. Everything, that it's meaningful in life has to take time. We are a people that can wait. We say that to us, I can't wait. You were little and you couldn't wait to get to school. You couldn't wait to go to preschool. But guess what? You had to wait. And when you're in preschool, you couldn't wait to get to first grade. Guess what? You had to wait. And you couldn't wait to get out of elementary school and get into high school. Guess what? You had to wait. You couldn't wait to get out of high school into college. Guess what? You still had to wait. You get in college the first day, you couldn't wait to get out. Guess what? You had to wait at least 4, 5, 6 years. You had to wait. You couldn't wait, to graduate and get a job. Guess what? You had to wait. You got a job now, you say, okay, I couldn't wait to get married. Guess what? You had to wait. You got married and you say you couldn't wait to have children. Guess what? You had to wait because they're not born in a day. And up till now, we don't have an instant baby powder, Yeah, well, some think that there is a baby powder they don't make. It doesn't make babies. By the way, you had to wait. And now you have children. You're saying to each other, we wish we had waited. My friend, Philip asked his question, and it was just a shortcut. He was not asking a question like the others. He would just say, you know what, Father, you're going to the Father, your Father, everything. Remember I told you to underline the word Father as we were hearing Jesus, talking about the Father, preparing them, just talking about the Father. So Philip just said, Lord, show us the Father. Give us the formula. Just show us the Father, and it's sufficient for us. If you're going there, we'll be okay as long as you're with the Father. And Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me? Philip, he who had seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the work. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the sake of the works themselves. Now let's go back and learn what led to Philip's, request. First of all, in John 13:33, Jesus said, while he got their attention and been talking about his death, this was a different day, it was a different teaching. He was not talking about the parable of this, parable of that. He was talking real fact now. And little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me. And as I said to the Jews, where I'm going, you cannot come. So now I say to you, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By these, all will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. Now, while he was saying to them, I'm only going to be with you now for just a little while longer. Then he quoted himself and said, as I said to the Jews. What did he say to the Jews? We read that in John chapter 7, verse 32 through 36. There was an instance there, and that story is there. Listen, the Pharisees heard the crowd murmuring. They were murmuring these things concerning Jesus. And the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to arrest him, to take him. Then Jesus said to them, I shall be with you a little while longer, and then I go to him who sent me. You will seek me and not find me, and where I am, you cannot come. So notice that he was emphatic. He was very sure. He was telling these Jews, these conniving people, those who are planning his death, the way you're living, you're the one who will eventually crucify the Son of God. But I am going, and where I am, you cannot come. It's a message to those who are enemies of Christ, enemies of Jesus, enemies of the church. Unfortunately, they will not be where he is. Then the Jews said among themselves when they heard that, where does he intend to go? That we will not find him. Does he intend to go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? What is this thing that he said, you will seek me and not find, and where I am, you cannot come? They were, imitating Jesus. Well, my friends, this whole discourse from chapter 12 till now had done nothing but grip the hearts of the disciple with unbearable sorrow. They were gripped with fear. It was a terrifying thought that Jesus was leaving them. It was unthinkable and definitely unbearable that he was going to die. What could kill him? How could he die, the one who raised the dead? And more importantly, what will happen to them? In verse 36, we have Peter's two questions and promise. In John 13:36, Peter asked two questions. Lord, where are you going? If you were there, I think that will be your questions too. It will be my question. Lord, where are you going? All of a sudden now you're talking about going. So where are you going? Then the second question of Peter is, Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for your sake. Peter asked two questions, and he made a promise. Lord, I'll lay down my life for you. Because Jesus' reply to Simon Peter was, where I am going, you cannot follow me now. See how that is different from what he said to those Jews and chief priests. Where I am, you cannot come. But here to his disciple, he said, where I'm going, you cannot follow me now, but you shall follow me afterward. And Peter said to him, Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you. What is the meaning of Jesus' reply to Simon Peter? His question was, where are you going? Where are you going? You've asked that question of somebody before. I have asked many times. Where are you going, as in, if you tell me, I can just pack my bag also and meet you there. Where, Peter talked for all of us. Where are you going? As if, just tell us, give us the address. And we pack our bags and we also go. But this is not a place you can get up and go, Peter. This is not a place you can get up and go, my friends. You and I cannot get there on our own or by our own efforts. Jesus was talking about going back to the Father. He was going to the presence of God from whence he came. The presence of God or heaven is not a place we can go or get to on our own efforts. In Titus chapter 3 verse 5, we read these words, not by works of righteousness which we have done, but according to his mercy, he saved us. He saved us according to... So if we're going to get to heaven, go and get into God's presence, it will not be that we pack our bag and go. There gotta be a way there. And there's gotta be someone who show us the way there. Romans chapter 3 verse 20, the NIV version says, therefore no one will be declared righteous in God's sight by the works of the law. Rather, through the law we become conscious of our sin. And then the second question of Peter, first question was, where are you going? Second, when Jesus said, you cannot follow me now, he said, why not now? Why not now? And how many times you and I have asked God that same question in that same tone regarding other matters. You've asked God for something, and God say to you, just wait. You see, that word wait, the way it sounds in our ears it's not palatable. It's not something we want to hear. We never want to hear wait. You know, somebody said, you know, God reply in three ways. It's either go, slow, no. Go, slow, no. Go means yes, go ahead. Slow means wait. No means no. You know, and so why not now? You've asked God something, and you're saying, why not now, God? Why are you not giving me this now? Why not now? Peter asked that. But the answer is, Peter, you are not ready. Not only are you not ready, also the place that you want to go is not ready for you until I go and come back. This is why Jesus said in that same John chapter 14, I will come back and take you. He said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I will have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. Are they listening? Jesus was answering the question, Lord, where are you going? I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself. In other words, no one can get there unless the Lord take him there. This place, he's the only one that knows the place. And we cannot get there unless he takes us there. He says, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also, and where I go, you know, and the way you know. Oh, hold on. Lord, where are you going? Jesus said, where I go, you know. Why? Because I told you, I'm going to my Father's house. Are you listening to God? Sometimes, you listen to the preacher, but you're not hearing God. You go in the church, you sit down, you're listening to the preacher, but you're not hearing God. Lord, where are you going? You know where I'm going. This is what Jesus said. Where I go, you know, and the way you know. Now, Thomas' question is, Lord, we do not know where you're going. And how can we know the way? Well, Thomas, you read about him later, he wanted proof. Thomas and maybe Philip are cut from the same cloth. Thomas was very practical, so was Philip. Thomas asked a question which makes sense naturally, and it's these. How can anybody know the way when they don't know where they are going? Doesn't that make sense? How can anybody know the way when they don't know where they're going? But it's because they were not listening. Jesus' reply to Thomas was, Jesus said to him, I am the way. This is why I'm the only one that can take you there. Peter, why not now? You're not ready, and the place is not ready unless I go and prepare it. When I finish preparing, I'll come back and take you. That's why not now. And for Thomas, how do we get there? Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Thomas, if you had really known me, you will have known my Father also. I am here. If you really know me, then you have known my Father also. And from now on, Jesus, from now on, that I have made this statement to you, and I've corrected your unbelief, from now on, you know him, and you have seen him. You have seen him. What is the meaning of this reply to Thomas? See, these men were not sure yet where Jesus planned to go. Therefore, they were not sure how they will get there themselves. They were slow to understand this, but Jesus assured them that the way to the Father is not a process, but a person. Did you hear me? The way to God is not a process, it's not a ritual, it's not a creed, it's not a religion. The way is a person. Also, the truth cannot be found in the library. In religion, the truth, you have to meet the truth. The truth is a person, the one who says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Oh, hallelujah. Show us the way. No. It's not that way. It is not this way. I am the way. It's not another. I am the way, the truth, and the life. He is the way. No other way. It's one way. Did you hear me? It is one way, and it's Jesus. The apostle tells us in Acts chapter 4 and in verse 12, salvation is found in no one else. Did you hear that? Salvation, deliverance, healing, restoration, redemption is found in no one else. For there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved. Now, some people may not want us to say that, they say that's being exclusive. That's what the truth is. Truth is exclusive. Truth cannot be this and that. Truth is exclusive. You may not want us to say that the sun rises from the east. Well, you may not want us to say that, but it doesn't stop the sun from rising from the east. That is the truth. It's unchangeable. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Look, the truth, there cannot be two truths. After you found the truth, there is no further search. After you found the truth, there cannot be truth somewhere else. Because any other thing that contradicts what you seem to be truth, then cannot be truth. Only one thing can be truth. John, who wrote this story, tells us when he was closing the book in John 20, verse 30 through 31. He said, and truly, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. That you may have life in his name. My friend, Jesus categorically said when they asked him, show us the way. Now, if there were other ways, Jesus will have shown them the way. Jesus said, it's not that way. It's not this way. I am the way, the truth. Everybody wants the truth. Well, the truth you will not find in the book. You will not find in battle. You will not find in relationship. You will not find anywhere. The truth is a person. The person that says, I am the truth. And then he said, I am the life. Now, when he said, I am the life, it does not mean existence, even though that life you derive existed. When he says, I am the life, he means the originator of life, the one who gives life, the life giver. You know why? In John chapter 1, verse 3 to 4 and verse 9 says, all things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. That was the true light, which gives light to every man coming into the world. Jesus light up every man that coming to the world. Now, the Apostle Philip. I want us to round this study up tonight so that we can start something else next week. Then, after all these questions, Lord, where are you going? Why can I not come with you now? And Thomas said, show me the way. And Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and life. Then Philip asked the Lord. He didn't ask the question. Philip said, okay, if this is so, and it seemed like the Father is where you're going, Lord, show us the Father then, and it's sufficient for us. Just let's cut to the chase. Give us the keys. Give us the formula. Jesus replied to Philip. Jesus said to him, almost the same thing, the same words to Thomas in a different way. But this particular word, we have seen Jesus spoke to Philip this same way when he had his test. Now, Jesus said to Philip, have I been with you so long? Philip, now we have been together for so long, and yet you have not known me. What an indictment to Philip. What an indictment to many of us. That what a shame it is today that some of us, the Lord will have to say, but you've been in church so long. You've been in church so long. You've been on the way so long. You've called yourself Christian so long, and yet you have not known me. Now, Jesus replied to Philip, Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father. Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the work. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the sake of the works themselves. In John chapter 14, verse 28, Jesus said, you have heard me say to you, I am going away and coming back to you. If you love me, you will rejoice, because I said, I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I. What is the meaning of Jesus' reply to Philip? All of them, Jesus replied them. Now Jesus replied to Philip, and this is what it means. He said, Philip, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me? Known me. Jesus pointed to himself in response to Philip's question. What was Philip's request? Philip said, show us the Father. Jesus said, have you not known me? Did you get that? Did you get what Jesus was trying to say to Philip? Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and it's sufficient for us. If you can show us the Father, we will be okay. But Jesus replied to Philip, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me have seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? This is what it means. If you've seen Jesus, do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the work. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the sake of the works for themselves. What is the meaning of Jesus' reply to Philip? Jesus saying, I and my Father are one. This is God's final answer. You remember that game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And during that show, the contestant, when he gets, when he's sure of his answer, the host will ask, is this your final answer? In other words, you have an opportunity to change your mind and give your final answer. Or you may, call for a friend, call a help, And when the contestant is very sure, he will say, yeah, this is my final answer. Well, who wants to be a Christianaire? This is God's final answer. In Hebrews 1 and verse 1 we read, God, who had various times and in various ways spoke in time past to the fathers by the prophets, has in these last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he had appointed heir of all things, through whom he also made the worlds, who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high, having become so much better than the angels, as he has by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. And our last thought is Philip the martyr. According to church history, Philip laid down his life for Christ, being stoned to death after preaching and reaching many with the gospel. The Apostle Philip is often confused with Philip the evangelist. Now, Philip the evangelist is mentioned in Acts, who was in the time of the serious persecution. He was the one who went down to the city of Samaria. But this is not the same Philip. That was Philip the evangelist. This is Philip, the man from Bethsaida and the apostle of Jesus Christ. I believe that God has blessed you through these studies. Every of these studies online for your perusal. Just go and listen again. Share this with some friends and just spread this. When you share and somebody else is able to hear, you will be helping us reaching people everywhere with the message of hope. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you. Thank you for all that we have learned tonight. We bless your name for giving us understanding of your word. Lord, I just want to take this opportunity to ask for your grace and ask for your mercy for those who need your mercy tonight. Lord, it's a good time to receive mercy from your hand. Lord, somebody needs you tonight and they're connected to us tonight. Lord, turn their story to good. Oh God, in the name of Jesus, I release a healing miracle. Those who are oppressed, I declare their freedom tonight from whatever it is. Lord, thank you for sending your word. And thank you, my Lord, for hearing this prayer. Thank you for turning this prayer to testimony. Lord, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. My friend, if you're out there and you do not know Jesus, he is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life that you need. Why don't you ask him tonight to come into your heart and life? Say this prayer with us. And Father, in Jesus' name, thank you tonight. I come in the name of Jesus. I'm sorry for my sins. I ask for your forgiveness. Lord Jesus, I confess with my mouth that Jesus is Lord. And I believe in my heart that God has raised you from the dead. You're alive, you're well, and you're here with me answering my prayer. Please come into my heart today. I make you my Lord. Please write my name in the book of life. I thank you for the gift of salvation. I commit my future into your hands. This I ask. In Jesus' wonderful name. Amen.